The content in this magazine could contain references of topics and difficult subject matter that may be triggering. Please honor yourself, inner knowing, and proceed with whatever help or guidance you feel is intuitively aligned. Welcome to Sovereign Magazine Podcast. I'm Nicole George, CEO and founder of Sovereign. I'm so happy you are here. We are the magazine podcast and community guiding 5 million women to their sovereign selves. From heart-led conversations to magical meditations, our inspiring guests will show you how they can help you step into your sovereign self. Are you ready to listen to your inner voice and step into your power? Then keep listening to hear all of the intuitive messages meant for you today. Hello. Today I have the privilege of reconnecting with Chris Melville, Sovereign's in-house personal empowerment coach. Alongside her transformative coaching sessions and workshops for the Sovereign community, Chris also runs a thriving coaching practice and is a certified rapid transformational therapy practitioner. With over 30 years of corporate experience, she is passionate about empowering women to overcome mindset challenges and building thriving businesses. A true expert in personal empowerment, Chris is here to help others step boldly into their power. Welcome, Chris.
Hello, Nicole, and hello to the lovely ladies of Sovereign. I'll tell you, every time I start with you, you start with so much energy. I'm like, I gotta work myself up to match that.
Yes, I do have quite a bit of energy. Oh my goodness. Well, today we are exploring your approach to life, which is the theme for our June full moon issue. And in Chris's article called Design Your Life, Lead Your Business, she talks about what it really means to embody the CEO mindset, not just in your business, but in your life. And that it's not just about having a title or being in a boardroom with C-suite people, that it's actually about taking personal responsibility, radical responsibility, setting boundaries, and making intentional choices that are important for you to find alignment with your vision and mission and purpose of your business. So I would love to start out first, Chris, with maybe perhaps defining for the audience what the CEO mindset might mean, maybe perhaps what it looks like for everyone, because I'm not sure everybody knows about the CEO mindset.
Yeah, I love talking about CEO mindset. It's like one of my favorite topics. I have so many clients who come to me and they're like, I just don't know where I'm taking my business. I don't know what I'm doing with it. I feel like I'm in the weeds and I'm always working in the business and I never get the chance to work on the business. And for me, this is like such a classic marker of you haven't stepped into your CEO mindset yet. Now, a lot of the women that I work with, and the men as well, because I work with men too, they're coming from employment, usually from long-term employment. They're service providers who have either used their services in the corporate world or they've gone away and they've trained up for it. I do a lot of work with nutrition therapists, for instance, so they've gone away and trained for it. So the ones that are coming from corporate, they've got like 10, maybe even 15 years or more of experience of providing their services. But most of them have never run a team. They've never run a department. They've never had to deal with a budget. So the whole concept around the CEO mindset, particularly for people moving away from corporate, is leaving behind the bad habits that we get into in the corporate world and learning how to shift that so that we can take responsibility for our business. And by bad habits, I'm talking about things like not starting work until you've been given permission or direction on what you're supposed to be working on. I'm talking about things like being told to stay in your own lane so you don't step on your colleagues' toes, right? And that feeling that we all have when we're ill and we're busy at work and we're like, I have to show up even though I can barely drag myself out of bed because if I don't, somebody else is going to have to take on my work, right? these are these mindset habits that we bring into our own business. And I think for anybody listening, it's not going to take much of a shift for you to understand. If you're waiting for somebody to give you permission to run your business isn't going to be around for very long. So, you won't have to wait for very long, but you're also not going to have the business that you want.
Yeah. And I think that that's a huge shift for sure.
Huge. Yeah.
I mean, just acknowledging how much we're waiting to be directed or things like that. I'll never forget one of my bosses told me that. You're always waiting to be directed. She was so, and I was like, well, you're the director? Like, so isn't that your job? I was kind of confused because that was her role. Her label was director. And she just was annoyed that I wouldn't take initiative. But every time I had an idea, she'd shoot it down. So I was stopped giving her ideas, right? But that's not what you can do in your business.
Yeah. Oh my God. I really resonate with that because I had a boss, not for very long because the company got rid of her. But every time she asked me to do something, I would go away and do it. And I would show her what I'd done or what I bought for something that we were doing or a presentation I put together. And she'd just look at me and she'd go, well, I wouldn't have done it that way, but I guess it's okay.
Such a gaslighter. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The stories we could tell about the corporate world, right? And it's such a different world when you're owning your business because, when you're in the corporate world, somebody does the finances for you or somebody sets the schedule and tells you when you're supposed to be at work and prepares all the meetings and all the Zoom links. But oftentimes we're doing those things for ourselves. And so this brings me to my next kind of topic that I really want to start to hone in on. And you talk a lot about radical responsibility and that when we own our own businesses as women, we often start to have a really challenging time between balancing our life and our business. And you talk about this one thing where you want to remind entrepreneurs that hustling isn't the goal, that alignment is. And so I'd love to talk about like radical responsibility, balancing life, and finding alignment.
So for me, radical responsibility is not avoiding the things that you know you need to be doing for your business, but you don't like doing. Yeah. It's like nobody's coming along to save you. Even as a coach, I can tell clients what to do until I'm blue in the face. But if they go and they don't action it because it feels uncomfortable, yeah, then there's nothing I can do to help them. So every action that you take should be towards the betterment of your business. And a really good way to clock this is just ask yourself, what do I need to do today that's going to move the needle on my business? Yeah. So then you're starting to think strategically about what you need to do. Hustle is something completely different because hustle is about like doing the work. It's constantly being busy. And I think a lot of people dip into hustle culture because they're like, well, I've worked 10 hours today, so I'm hustling. I'm out there doing what I need to be doing. But working 10 hours a day doesn't mean that you're doing what you're meant to be doing. And if you're not taking radical responsibility for your business and for your role in driving the business, then it's really easy to slip into hustle culture as a way of avoiding what you should be doing and you're not doing. It's like, well, I've worked 10 hours today, so, that's what matters. And why isn't my business working if I'm working 10 hours a day? Well, you're spending 10 hours a day in Canva making things look pretty. That's not going to move your business.
Yeah. Oh, nobody can see me because we don't do video, but I smiled so big when you said avoid. And I want to move into our special segment called Steps to Your Sovereign Self, because when you step into your CEO mindset, you're becoming more sovereign in who you are. And the reason I smiled so big about avoidance is because in this segment, you and I are actually going to talk about me personally as a CEO. And I just kind of laughed and smirked when you said avoidant, because you wanted to, in this segment, talk about and take the audience through how I feel I am as a CEO and what it looks like when I'm not and ways around that. And the reason I smiled is because Nicole, the CEO of Sovereign, is a completely different person than Nicole George, the woman. Nicole George, the woman, excuse my language, is the biggest frugal cheap ass on this earth and would never spend a dime. She'd rather get something for free and not spend money. Now, the CEO, Nicole, can't do that clearly and has to be a completely different person. So, if you identify with having fears of any kind, you can see the drastic parts of my personality that I have to have. So, I know when I'm not in my CEO mindset, when I'm in lack and I'm in scarcity and I'm in fear and I'm in all of those things. And so, if you want to pick me apart, I'm totally fine with that. But I'm sure there are plenty of entrepreneurs out there who resonate with getting choked up or scared when they want to make an investment, right? You know that it's the right thing to do in your business, but you don't want to do it. Do you know how many times I've sat there and had to choke because I knew it was the right investment for the business, but cheap ass Nicole does not want to do that. But I've had to. And so that's when my CEO hat is on because I intuitively know it's the right thing for the business. And I have to say, I've made not very many wrong financial decisions in the business. We all make some. But getting clarity on who I am in each moment is extremely important.
Yeah, I think what I really want to pick up on there is this concept of fear.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we think about as a small business owner or solopreneur or whatever you want to call yourself, there's this tendency to think that I have to be a completely different person to a Jeff Bezos, for instance, or Steve Jobs. But the point about a CEO mindset is everybody has fear. You think Steve Jobs didn't have some fear at some point? There are people out there, there are entrepreneurs out there, huge entrepreneurs that have mortgaged the house 3 times in order to finance their business. You think they don't have fear? But what they have that comes from that CEO mindset is they have a clear vision of their business. They have a very deep understanding of what their business offers and their ideal client. So they know that they are offering what their ideal client needs, and they have a mission. And I think a lot of times we skip mission. We talked about it today in one of my coaching calls for the client flood formula. And one of the people on the call, he's like running back and forth, trying to figure out what to do. And I said to him, I've been coaching him for a while. And I said, look, every time we talk about this, about what you're going to do, it comes back to money. And I get it because you've got bills, you've got house, you've got mortgage, you've got kids, you've got bills to pay. But I've never once heard you talk about what you want to do from from an aspect of, because this fulfills me, because this is what I'm good at. And I know that I will excel at helping people this way. And when we focus on getting that clear vision and understanding of our ideal client and mission, that's what gives us those foundations that are deep and strong that help us withstand the fear.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, a lot of people really struggle with the fact that, at least I do, I have ADHD, okay, and I have perimenopausal anxiety as well. And I, I struggle with the worksheets and the journaling and the spreadsheets and what's my mission? What's my 6-week goal? You realized pretty quickly into our relationship, I wasn't going to fill out all your forms, Chris.
I took it so personally.
Oh, did you? I'm so sorry.
I'm joking.
Oh, okay. But it's because I can't, I work so intuitively. If it drops in, it just drops in. So having a 6-week projected out, strategy for me in terms of certain things like, a goal like number of followers or amount of income, that would work for me. But having the strategy of the next thing, it doesn't necessarily work for me because I don't really know until I get clarity. And so I want to give, women in particular permission to be okay to not know everything, that your CEO mindset might look a little different. But Chris has some amazing takeaways. She has, I think it's like 15 different free courses in our Sovereign community. That's community.sovereign-magazine.com. You can go in there for free and get all of her courses to help you with your CEO mindset and things like that. And she has her own group in there as well. But just have permission that your CEO mindset might look different, but it needs to have the core values of what you were talking about, your alignment, your radical responsibility, having a powerful mindset and understanding how you're showing up in the business. And that, a CEO mindset doesn't just equal productivity, which is what I really got from your article.
Yeah. And you don't like the 6-month plan or the 6-week planning because you do work so intuitively, and I've seen it all the time. But you know exactly who you serve, and you know exactly what you want your clients to feel like, whether they're reading the magazine or listening to the podcast or going into the community. You are very, very clear on what your mission and your vision is for this business, and that will drive everything for you.
For sure, for sure. We definitely have a very high standard here at Sovereign in terms of quality and customer service, and we know exactly who we are targeting. Okay. So, I hope each of you not only reads Chris's article, follows her on social. She is amazing. If you are trying to work on your CEO mindset and you want more, you can actually connect with her in our community as well. Everything's in the show notes, so don't you worry. You'll be able to connect with her right away. Thank you so much for coming on today, Chris.
Thank you for having me. I love our conversations.
Me too. See you on the next one. Thanks for listening. This is the last episode for this issue. I'll be back again on the new moon with another soul-led entrepreneur here to help you step into your sovereign self. Subscribe to our magazine and podcast and join our global community for all the magic. Details to connect with today's guest or join the movement are in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review. It helps us reach our goal of guiding 5 million women to self-sovereignty.